very excited for today's video because today I'm gonna be ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes I tried this year so far. We are around the halfway point. As I'm filming this, we are approaching the halfway point, and I have already tried almost as many eyeshadow palettes as I did last year. My goal was to try more eyeshadow palettes, and I'm very excited that I can give you this more substantial ranking. So let's get into it. Thank you so much to HALARA for sponsoring today's video. HALARA is a fashion brand that does a lot of athleisure, active wear, and they send over some really cute pieces that I want to show you. So first up, I am wearing this very cute kind of like teal green dress. This dress is so cute. It has a really comfortable stretchy material, as a lot of things, like most things by HALARA do. Very breathable, very comfy. What I also really love about this dress and a lot of the pieces that HALARA has is that they have a built-in bra pad, so you don't have to wear a bra with it, and it actually feels very secure. I personally love wearing a bra, but with these I don't feel like I have to at all. And also they have these built-in little shorts that also have pockets. You can just put your phone, your cards, your keys into that little pocket, so you don't really have to bring any extra bags. It's just very convenient to have the pockets there. Alright, so I also got one of these kind of like scrunchy butt kind of shorts. I never tried these, and I thought this was my chance to kind of like get into this, see if it's something for me. I have not been brave enough yet to wear this out yet, but I do think that this looks very cute. It looks very flattering. It is very flattering around the waist as well, with this little V over here. I really like these shorts. They do make your butt look really good. By the way, I ordered a size small in all of these and it fit perfectly. For me, this is really true to size. Then I also wanted to grab something from the brand that was a little bit less athleisure, a little bit more fashion, and I really like this. It's kind of like this ribbed fabric, and then it looks like a skirt, but it also has the built-in shorts, so it's a little bit of a shorter skirt, but you can still feel really secure. I think this is really cute. It fit me really well. If you are like me, a hourglass figure, like your waist is much smaller than your hips, then this is a great one, because this one really has the ability to fall down straight down from the waist, because it has this wrap detail. Like, it really gives a lot of space to your hips, and it's really nice. And then we have this cute top in a very nice kind of lilac-y pink shade. It has a cute cutout detail. This one, it doesn't have the built-in bra, but it's super cute. I really love this. It's a little bit more fashion-esque. By the way, something that I love about HALARA is that they have a lot of different colors in their different items. Like, you can always find a color that you like. Then this top I've been wearing a lot. This one has a built-in bra. It's just a strap top. It's super comfortable. I really love the color of this. It just goes with a lot of different things. It's so easy to throw on. This is a favorite for my haul from HALARA. Like, this is such a good one. Then this dress also is a little bit more fashion to me. It has this kind of like tie detail at the back. It has the built-in pads, and then it has this super cute skirt. I love the waistline of this and the color. It kind of makes me think of like Cinderella. It just is very girly. Also has the built-in shorts, and it's just this very nice A-line dress. And you know, I'm really into dresses, and I just wanted to try a bunch of their dresses, and it's actually what I like the most from them. And this bright blue, kind of like purple violet shade dress I really like as well. Once again, an A-line. It has a really nice open back, and usually I don't wear open back, but because this has the built-in bra pads, it's not an issue for me. It's really easy to wear. By the way, these bra pads you can take out if you want to. Also has the built-in shorts, and I just thought this fit very well as well. And then lastly, I also wanted to try a longer pants, because I live in the Netherlands. It's usually a little bit on the colder side here, and this is also from the super stretchy material. I really love the color of this. This is a really nice one to wear when it's a little bit colder, but still it's super breathable and super comfortable fabric. HALARA also gave me some discount codes that you can use on their website. I will put the codes in the description box, as well as the links to these products. So I have about 26 eyeshadow palettes. I have to do a recount. I kind of forgot. And you know how it goes. We're starting at the bottom. Alright, so the last place this year is going to Catrice, and it's actually going to the Catrice Seeking Flowers eyeshadow palette If you saw the video where I first tried this, I really didn't like the quality in this. Also, the color story doesn't really do much for me. I feel like there's not much to be done with this. I mean, we have two mattes, one of which I feel like it doesn't really serve a purpose. It's not light enough to be in a corner highlight. It doesn't do much. And like this matte shade didn't have any pigment, so like there's not much left then to this palette. And then the shimmers were all very lackluster, kind of looked weird on the eye, kind of uneven. I did like the packaging. Like this is a very cute collection with very cute packaging, but the actual quality of this I dislike so much that I did not even want to do more looks with this. I just accepted that this is not for me. I didn't like this at all. Like I wouldn't say that a lot of the quality, like a lot of the palettes that I've tried are objectively bad. I think a lot of palettes can be for a certain person, but this one I personally didn't like at all. Then we have the Catrice Safari Fever Slim Eyeshadow Palette. I thought this was going to be more neutral. It ended up pulling very warm on me. It's a little bit my fault that I bought a palette that is not my color story, but I was really expecting something else here. It ended up looking pretty muddy on me, very lackluster. I didn't like any of the looks. The colors just pulled very warm, but it's also like none of these formulas really did it for me. It was just all very soft, kind of dusty. It's not like the worst formula I've ever tried in a palette, otherwise it would be less, of course, but like nothing here spoke to me. I didn't like it. Then we have the Catrice Generation Joy eyeshadow palette. I wouldn't say that this is like terrible. I feel like a lot of people could get on with this. It is just that like this green is not pigmented at all. It makes it look kind of weird, and then the rest of the color story didn't spoke to me as much as I thought it would. Like it's one of the better color stories I feel like Catrice has done, but still I feel like I don't see a lot of looks here. And yeah, it's not like the shimmers are terrible, it's not like the mattes are terrible, it's workable, you can do looks. I think people could like this, but there's just something here, like I didn't enjoy using this at all. I just felt like none of the looks really looked amazing, none of it stood out to me, and I don't really get inspired by this. But it's also not because it's boring, like there's a lot going on here. I feel like it was just a little weird for me, like it wasn't a match between me and this color story. And then another Catrice palette. I'm sorry, I really want to love Catrice, and I have some eyeshadow palettes that are a little bit higher, and I have ranked Catrice eyeshadow palettes higher in other years, but this year I don't know, it just didn't really, like we didn't really vibe, like we weren't in sync. They weren't giving me what I was expecting. So the Joker palette, I love the packaging of this. I think it's really cool. I quite like the theme, and you know, at first glance I was really excited about this palette, and there are some like good things about this palette, but there are also some things that I didn't like. So there are quite a lot of dots I feel in this palette. For example, this green is like so unpigmented, it doesn't really show up on the eye. We have some quite nice shimmers, but I felt like the mattes kind of turned muddy quickly, couldn't really build them on top of each other. It just started looking a little weird too quickly. And then we also have a lot of very similar shades, which makes me feel like this palette could have been condensed down to like half of the shades. And with that, I feel like it's kind of a filler palette. It's like a palette filled with filler. It didn't have to be this big, but they were just like throw in more shades because the palette is supposed to be bigger. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't really love the looks with this, but there are some nice shimmers in here. Like some shimmers in here I did enjoy. Alright, now we're on to the palettes. I like these palettes. Like those were the palettes that I think I would declutter. One of them I actually already decluttered, the Safari Fever palette. I already moved out of my collection, but I still kept it around for this type of video. But like those are the palettes I would not recommend. Maybe if you feel like, okay, that description sounds like it's from me. Okay, the first palette that I like, we're not onto the loves, I will tell you when we are, but the first palette that I liked is the Essence Love Luck and Dragons eyeshadow palette. This was actually pretty good quality. The mattes in here are nice. There's a nice combination of mattes, like good colors in here. We have deepening up shades, we have mid-tone shades. You can go different directions. The shimmers in here are quite cute. Some of them are a little bit more sparkly. This one is very satin. I quite like this palette. It's not like super impactful. It's not like blowing my mind, but you can get a really cute warm look with this. The reason that it's a little bit lower is because it's so very warm and I don't find myself really reaching for this. I don't really get super excited about this. I am excited about the idea of this, the fact that Essence did a pretty good eyeshadow palette in their limited editions. I feel like since then we haven't really seen an eyeshadow palette in their limited editions. Would have loved to see more. But yeah, this is pretty cute. I quite like this eyeshadow palette. I feel like if these were my colors, it would have been towards the middle. I have to make the decision somehow because there are so many good palettes that I've tried. Like, I have to pick something. Alright, next up, this palette I also quite like, and these are a little bit more my colors. So this is the Essence Harley Quinn eyeshadow palette, and this is in Hey Puddin 01. I think this is still available. I think most of these you can still find. And this is an eyeshadow palette with a lot of soft, kind of pastel-y pinks, cool tone pinks, soft shimmers. The liners in here I don't care for at all, but the rest is kind of like this soft, pinky, cool tone look. And as with the Catrice palette from the Joker collection, like this is from the same collection basically, it's like the Sister Love collection. This could have been condensed down. You cannot make that many different looks with this palette, but it does have quite a few shades. I feel like these are too many shades for the kind of like one look that you can do with this. Like, all of the looks look kind of similar. It's a cute look though. I like it. I like the colors. I like the undertone. The quality of it is pretty nice. Like, it's a good palette. It's a good palette, but it's just not very versatile. And then I feel like it could have been a quad. Didn't have to be this big, but yeah, what I can do with it, I do like. Revolution actually pleasantly surprised me with this eyeshadow palette. This is the Hyper Real eyeshadow palette. This is from their Mood Switch collection that I did a video on. I will try to link as many videos as possible with these palettes in the description box. I will try to put up swatches if I still have them. Maybe I will like put up a look. I'm gonna see like what information I have for you to be able to make decisions. But this is actually a pretty nice eyeshadow palette. There are some beautiful shimmers in here that are kind of like duochromy, little sparkly. There's also a formula in this palette that is very, very creamy and it just creases on my eyes. Like, this green is very, very creamy, but there are a lot of really nice sparkly shades in here. Especially kind of like these and these I really liked. You can do really beautiful looks with this. It is a palette where I have to kind of pull in other palettes for the mattes, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. As I said, for Revolution, I feel like this is cute. It's nice shimmers for a low price. I feel like if you want something a little different but you don't want to like break the bank, order from indie brands, like this is a cute palette. I quite liked it. Then we have a quad from Kiko Milano. This is a Bright Quartet eyeshadow palette in 02. And this is kind of like this mauve, brownish, pinkish quad. We have two shimmers and two mattes in here. I quite like the quality of this. Like, the mattes are nicely pigmented. The shimmers are beautiful and shiny. Not very sparkly, but they have a nice shine to them. There's nothing really wrong with this, but I feel like this pulls very warm on my eye, and I was expecting this to be a little bit more cool tone. It just translates a little different when I apply it than it looks over here. And if you like warm toned eyeshadows, then this might be a good one, but for me it was just a little bit too warm, a little bit too far from what I was expecting, but it's nice quality. I like it. And then we have another Kiko Milano eyeshadow palette. This is the Glamour Multi-Finish eyeshadow palette in 04, and this is the purple one. This is quite nice. It doesn't look like much and it doesn't swatch like much, but when you apply it on the eye, when you blend it out, it actually ends up looking kind of good. I don't feel like all of the shades in here are amazing, but the like eventual look that you get is quite nice and it's quite purple, and I don't know, I quite enjoyed it when I used it. I do feel like this is one where I have to use it a little bit more. Like with this ranking, I just accepted that some of these I actually haven't used enough for like a full review. Like, this is still gonna be mentioned in a makeup update. I liked it so far. So it's a little bit like towards the middle. It could be higher, it could be lower in the end, like at the end of the year. Then next, the Flower Nose Little Angel eyeshadow palette. This is in 02 Weeping Angel. I was kind of debating where I should put this. It's tough because there's some beautiful shimmers in here, some beautiful mattes. It's just when I go to blend together these mattes, it gets kind of muddy. So it is kind of a eyeshadow palette with a manual. Like, you have to be aware of what you can and can't do with this one, but as long as you are, you can do pretty looks with this. I really like the formula of the shimmers. They are very beautifully sparkly, but just these mattes together, it doesn't really work for me when I try to do too much with that. And also, I kind of wish that there was a deeper blue matte to go with that shimmer. It doesn't really work. I do like that shimmer as kind of like a shadow liner. So there's ways I like to use this palette. There are beautiful formulas in here. The packaging is beautiful. I love the brand, but it's just not my favorite because it's not effortless. I had to try it a few times to kind of realize that what I wanted to do wasn't really working, and I had to try it a different way. So be warned. This is not my favorite flower nose palette. Alright, next up we have Kiko Milano Days in Bloom. This is the multifaceted eyeshadow palette in 02 Green Serenade. So this is an eyeshadow palette. When I first used it, first applied it, I was a bit like, that's subtle. But in the end, like, it's quite a cute palette. It's quite flattering on the eye. It's just a little bit like on the softer side. It's a cool tone palette with some pops of color. And yes, the shimmers are a little bit satiny, but not all of them. Some are a little bit more shiny, some are a little bit more duochrome. I feel like you can do pretty looks with this, but it is soft. So it's kind of like, for what it is, I think this is a cute palette and I like it. And there's nothing wrong with the quality, but it has to be for you. It's kind of more like that luxury vibe, luxury style eyeshadow formula. This is not going to be for everyone, but I have done looks with this that I really liked. And then this was an eyeshadow palette that kind of surprised me and kind of confuses me. I'm not really sure where to rank this. Like, this is not a very exciting eyeshadow palette. It is not a very special eyeshadow palette. It does have quite nice mattes and shimmers. Like, the quality in here is quite nice, but it's all very like one tone. It's kind of like a one-trick pony. But every time that I use this palette, it just looks so good. It's so flattering. I feel so beautiful. It's just something about it keeps me coming back to it. And when I look at the looks that I've done using this palette and kind of like how it all combines with my skin, I don't know, it just looks really nice. So I just have to give it to this palette and rank it a little higher. Even though it's kind of boring, it is nice. I like it. Alright, next up we have the Little Angel eyeshadow palette in 01 Eden's Angel. I feel like, as with the other one, this is also one where you kind of have to be a little bit more careful with the mattes. Like, you can't do anything and everything and build and build and build because it's gonna look a little muddy. But I feel like this is easier to use than the other Little Angel eyeshadow palette, and I really like the combination of shades here. I really like the cool tones with the warmer tones, but not too warm, like rosy tones and kind of like gray undertones. The shimmers in here are beautiful. You can do really beautiful looks with this. I do like this palette, but as the other one, it does have a little bit of a like user manual. You just have to be a little careful when you try to blend these mattes together. Once again, also the packaging is amazing. I still get quite excited about this eyeshadow palette. Like, this is my favorite from the two, definitely. That's why it's also a few places higher. Alright, then we have some Kiko Milano eyeshadow. The Kiko Milano and Bridgerton collection Quartet eyeshadow palette in 03 Romantic Rhapsody. So this is a more pinky one. This is the first of two quads that I have from this collection. I really like the quality in here. The mattes are very pigmented and very blendable. I am very impressed by the matte formula in this quad release. Like, they did a great job with these mattes. The shimmers are a little bit more on the satiny side, but they are quite impactful still, quite creamy. They are pigmented, and I feel like you can do a really beautiful look with this. I really enjoy this formula. I think it's a great formula that I would like to see more of from Kiko Milano. I think they did a great job here. It just feels a little bit more impactful than things that they usually do. I feel like usually their mattes are a little bit more on the softer and like easy to use, foolproof side. Next up I have another Kiko Milano eyeshadow palette. This is the Gold Reflection Sun Mirage eyeshadow palette in 01 Golden Sunrise. This formula is beautiful. I love the shimmers in here. The mattes are really nice as well. You can do very beautiful kind of like nudish, warmish looks with this. It is very easy to use. Like, this is one of the formulas that I see a lot from Kiko Milano and that I really enjoy. Like, they do have this very sparkly, shimmery formula that when I see that they have it in a palette, I get pretty excited, and that is what this is. I feel like if this were a little bit more on the like neutral side, a little bit less warm, this would be higher even, because the formula in this is really, really nice, but it's just a little warm for me. But yeah, this is a really beautiful palette. I would recommend it. I think it's just very like effortless makeup. You just grab a shimmer, grab a matte, just blend it all out. It's just very quick and easy. I really like this palette. And then the other Bridgerton quad from the collab with Kiko, Milano and Bridgerton. This is one in 02 Ballroom Bliss, and this is my favorite. This is signing up to be my favorite. There's something about these colors. There's something about the way this looks on the eyes. I feel like these shimmers are maybe even a little bit more impactful than the other quad. I really like the undertone of this brown, and I just really like the purple with this. Like, this whole quad is really getting me excited. Like, I really like this quad. I feel like the looks I did with this were really, really nice. Then we have the Kiko Milano Stellar Love Cosmic Gaze Eyeshadow Palette in 02 Under the Starry Sky. This surprised me because it is quite an out there color story for Kiko Milano, and then also the quality of this is really beautiful, and it kind of pulls you to different directions depending on what you combine with each other, which gives you more options than you would actually guess. So this matte, the gray matte, is actually a little blue in undertone. So if you combine it with these, you can get kind of like a bluish purple look. And then this one is a little bit burgundy in undertone. Like, it seems brown, but it's quite burgundy, so you can get a little bit more of a warmer tone purplish look with that as well. I really like the formulas in here, really like the mattes, they blend beautifully. This is more of a satin shade. You can use it as a base and then use, for example, this one on top and kind of like add the dimension that way. Like, these are more like shimmery topper shades, so you can use the blue to kind of like get more color into your look. I really like this palette. I really love the looks that I've done with this. I think this is great quality. It really surprised me a little bit and just made me want to play around with it. I've done beautiful looks with it, and it's just different than you would expect, but in like a really nice way. I didn't even realize, but we had already arrived at the top 10. That was number 10. We're getting into number 9. I haven't been really saying the numbers because I know I will budget. I know I will say the wrong things and will get very confusing for you and for me. Like, I'm already confused, and then I will just put that on you. All right, at number 9 we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Charmer palette. From this point on, we're getting into the exceptionally beautiful, amazing formulas, but some of them are just a little bit more up my alley. Some color stories I just like a little better, but everything from now on is like exceptionally well done. So this palette has beautiful colors in it. It has beautiful formulas. It's a really nice palette. It's just a little bit more difficult to use than some of the other palettes that I ranked a little higher. I do really like the purple tones in this. Like, you can do really cute things. I do feel like I would have liked to see more of a difference in like the depth of the mattes. Yeah, it's just a little bit difficult, a little bit less of an all-round palette to me, but I have done really beautiful looks with this, and the formula of this is amazing. I just feel like some of the other color stories are a little bit more like how I would do my makeup, how I would use a palette. But of course you don't have to use a palette on its own, but here I am reviewing them in that manner. I'm getting kind of hungry, I don't know why. I just ate. Alright, this is Glamour Cosmetics Sugar and Spice, and this is a palette that I'm very late to the party with. I decided to buy this from Monolith. I am not really sure what was going on in my head, because usually when I buy older palettes, I don't really do much with them, and it just takes me a long time to review them because there's no urgency. But I do have some things to say about this. I like this palette. The formulas are beautiful, the colors are beautiful. I've done some really beautiful looks with this, but this is not my favorite palette from Glamour. The Rich Romantic palette last year, I think I ranked that like 3rd or 2nd in my yearly ranking. Really loved that one. That was like blowing my mind. That was such a good palette. And this, I feel like I kind of have to use this a bit more consciously. I kind of have to put myself to use this. Maybe it is because it's a little older. Maybe it is because the color story is a little interesting. It's interesting because we have those cool tone nudes, but we also have those pastels. It takes me a little bit more effort to do looks, or to do like different looks. I feel like a lot of the pastels are so light that they can only really be used as inner corner highlights. And then what you're kind of left with is these cool tone neutrals. And so I kind of end up making the same crease over and over again and just putting a different shimmer on the lid. They are beautiful looks, but I feel like this is not blowing my mind as much as it could have. I don't know what's missing here for me, but it's just not exactly it. And I feel like there are just one or two pastels that could have been removed from this palette and they could have done something else, some different crease color, but maybe a little bit more green or deeper purple, or maybe even a pink to go with this. I feel like it's not the perfect palette for me, even though I really like the formula and I've done beautiful looks with this. I just like other palettes from them a little better. And then a palette where I really love the formula and the whole vibe, and I love the color story. It's just not colors that I would wear like on the daily. I feel like if I were more into these murky shades, this would be even higher, but it's just not totally up my alley. Like, I can make it work. I've done cute looks with this. I have enjoyed the looks, but it's just a little bit warm and murky for me. Like, I can do warm sometimes, but then it has to be a little bit more fresh. But like, that's just my personal opinion. I really like the color story. Just objectively looking at this, we have light shades, we have deep shades, we have a lot of different tones. It's a little bit more on the colorful side. The shimmers in this palette are amazing. I think this is a beautiful palette, and if you love kind of like murky, warmer tones, then I would highly recommend it. I do have to say, like, there are some cooler tones in here as well. That's also why I in the end decided to pick up this palette, because you can kind of like combine the cool tones with the warm tones. Like, there is this very cool tone brown and kind of like this aubergine shade. It is a lilac. I really love this shade. Like, you can do so many good things with this palette. It's so many beautiful looks. I really enjoy using this. This is a beautiful one. All right, another palette where I really love the formula, but it's just a little too warm for me. This is the Gloss Gods Let's Get Nude eyeshadow palette. I really love what they've done with this. I think there are so many beautiful shades in here. The mattes in here work amazingly, and then all the shimmers are just blowing my mind. They are so good. Gloss Gods shimmers are just so underrated. They are so beautiful. And I feel like if I were a warm tone girly, this would have been like maybe even in a #1 spot, or like top 3 at least. This is just gorgeous. I really love how they did this. This is kind of like the warm tone version of the First Gal on Jupiter palette, which is my absolute favorite from the brand. And yeah, this is just beautiful. It's a limited edition for the summer, so I would recommend picking it up around this time. I don't know when it's gonna disappear if you want it. And then a palette that I kind of lost sight of a little bit. Like, I tried this at the start of the year, and then I kind of focused on the new things and kind of forgot about this. This is a Mighty Monster palette by Onsai and Annette. This is a beautiful color story. It's kind of bright, but it also has some deepening up shades. You have some neutrals. There's a lot you can do with this. This is beautiful quality. The shimmers are amazing. It's just what you would expect from Onsai and from Annette, of course. Like, the first palette that she did with Onsai is one of my favorite palettes in my collection ever. It is so beautiful. Love the color story. But yeah, this is gorgeous. It just is a little bit like different, but I can still see the looks. It just challenges me a little bit to think of what I want to do, and I like that about this palette. Just beautiful quality, beautiful shades, and I've done very like different looks with this, like from neutral to colorful to dark. There's so much you can do with this. All right, we're on to the top 4, and on number 4 I'm gonna put the Flower Nose Strawberry Rococo 5-color eyeshadow palette in Star Moon Strawberry. So this is from the Strawberry Violet Rococo series that they did like a month or so ago, month or 2. And I don't know what it is, but every time I use this palette, I love my look so much. The shimmers in here are very sparkly. I feel like the undertones of the mattes are very interesting, very different from what we usually see, in kind of like purples and pinks, especially in a brand like Flower Nose. I wouldn't expect like these colors because they're quite out there, but I've really enjoyed the looks with them. It's just a beautiful palette. It all works really well and it just looks so good on the eyes. I cannot really even explain it, but there's just something that happens when I apply this. I just love it so much. I just usually really like the Flower Nose eyeshadow formula. I don't know what happened with those Little Angel palettes, but this one, very good. Alright, then this was definitely my favorite from the Omen's Eye Legendary Diversa collection. I have worn this so much in the spring. This is such a beautiful palette. So this is the Spring Dragon palette with Omen's Eye and Judy. This is a cool toned pastel dream. This is the pastel palette of my dreams. I love this so much. This doesn't have the pastels that I wouldn't want. It has all the pastels that I would want. I combined this with different things. I've used this on its own. I've done so many beautiful looks with this. I love the quality of this. All of these pastels are just very poppy on the eye. For me, I am like very the light, cool neutral. So this is like perfect for me. This felt like it was made for me. I really love this palette. I just love the undertones of this. I had so much fun with this. This has easily become one of my favorite palettes in my collection. It is beautiful. I love it so much. I love the quality in this. I think Judy did such a great job. Alright, in second place, we have a palette that I haven't really talked about yet. It is just such a big palette and a new brand to me, and I just never felt like I was ready to review it, and I still feel like there are so many more looks I could do with this. Am I ready? By the way, the look that I did today is with this palette. So this is the Lands of Enchantment by Ansley Rain Cosmetics. I decided to buy this a few months ago at Monolith. If you don't want to shop from the indie brand's own website because you don't want to pay the shipping and the taxes to Europe, Monolith is a great place to shop from. So this is a palette that is out of this world. It goes from very light to very deep. So many different shades, different undertones, and all of this is just so beautiful. I love the color selection, but also the quality of the shimmers, of the mattes. It all works so well. It all blends so well. The shimmers are just stunning. Some of them are more like shifty, like smooth and shifty. Some of them are more textured. Some of them have kind of like that holographic sparkle in them, but I haven't had any issues with those holographic shades. They haven't been like chunky or getting all over my existence. Sometimes that happens with holographic eyeshadows, but I haven't had any issue here. I actually have loved every look that I've done with this palette, and I'm very excited about this palette, but I just felt a little like I need more time because there are so many shades. I just know that this is gonna happen when I buy a big palette from a new brand. I just take my time. I take a lot of time to like try it out, to review it, to do the different looks, and then I just never really get around to actually reviewing it. I don't know. I just, buying big palettes, sometimes you can't really escape it because some brands just do a lot of big palettes, but it's a bit more difficult if you want to review them. But this is a beautiful palette. I really like it. It is beautiful. The shimmers, the mattes, all of it. The looks, it is just next level. It is just a kind of formula. I haven't really seen it in another brand. It really goes beyond your expectations, and yes, it's a bit more expensive, but it gives you what you want. If you love indie eyeshadow, like, it gives you the next level stuff. I feel like this is gonna stay in the top. It might even surpass the current #1, but it's hard to say because it is quite a colorful palette, but it does have a lot of light shades, and for me, light pastels, they're kind of like neutrals. We're gonna see what happens at the end of the year. Okay, #1. If you've seen my top 3 in every category, like, this is gonna be an easy guess. So this is the Unearthly Cosmetics Dreamer palette. This is the palette that they came out with actually for 2023 holiday, but it became available later and I tried it at the start of the year. This is such a beautiful palette, such a good mix of different shades and undertones, but it's like a cool toned dream. Cool toned, a little bit neutral, but not too neutral. It still has a little bit of interest and like unexpected shades. I love the combination of this rosy section over here and then kind of like the bluish grays. It just gives you so much to play with. I love just popping a rosy shade in the crease and then deepening it up with a gray shade. I love that so much. The shimmer quality in this is amazing. We have a holographic shimmer in here as well. I really love the tones in here. I love the looks that I've done with this. This gets me super excited. The formulas are amazing. For me, this is a perfect palette. I love playing with this. It's just right up my alley. It's me in a palette. I love a little bit of color, but I also love my neutrals, and I just like to kind of like mix them up. Use a little bit of color, use a little bit to kind of like soften it again. Like I don't always want to go all out and do a very colorful look. So this is perfect for me. I love this palette. If you can still find it, I think it's still available at some places. I think I still saw it at Monolith. This is beautiful. I would highly recommend it. Alright, this is gonna be it for the ranking. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye!